What's up, it's Nez, and hello everyone, welcome back to The Letter. Last episode we had a fallout with Ash because, well, he was an asshole and left us alone during the party. But the good news is, we're now seeking the help of Professor Andrew Clark. He has agreed to meet with me 2 days later, in front of Luxborn's public library. He has other commitments, but being a longtime family friend has its perks. I have my parents' connections to thank for that. Of course, I'm not the sort to impose on him often, but the situation is dire. Well, it's not entirely bad, although it does require calling in a few favors from friends like him. Without his signature, I won't be able to gain access to the library's restricted section. Will we learn more about the ghost, maybe of Takako and the previous owners of the Oh My God Mansion? If I want to get more in-depth information on the Ermengarde Mansion, that is, not simply what they choose to show to the general public. As much as I hate to admit it, there's always something people censor, and whatever it is, I won't ever find it in the general section. It has to be what they're keeping here, beyond the public eye. The thought of that alone makes me antsy. Thankfully, I don't have to brood over it. The wait for the professor doesn't take long. He never did enjoy making people wait. Likewise, he dislikes people who are tardy. Hello there, Professor. Good thing you're not dead. He arrives 5 minutes after I do, greeting me with that kind smile and casual wave of his hand. I haven't seen him in so long, but it appears he hasn't changed much. His familiar appearance alone is enough for a fond smile to spread across my face.
Professor Andrew.
Hello.
Rebecca.
Hi.
Didn't I say long ago you could drop the professor?
You know I can't possibly do that. Even if I can. It feels disrespectful to call you by your name alone.
Both you and Ashton never listen to this old man. Kids these days.
All right. But just for today, since you're doing me a huge favor, Andrew.
I guess you simply can't have it all, even at this old age. But pleasantries aren't what we're here for, yes? You mentioned you needed a permit.
We need to go snooping.
Yes, sir, if that's okay with you.
More than fine. Anything in pursuit of knowledge, as they say.
Or survival. He hands me the permit without further prompting. And just like he promised, he's also written a recommendation after his signature. This is more than enough to get me those files. I mutter a small thanks before slipping it into my pocket. Although when I look back up, his brows are furrowed, the very face of curiosity. Not surprising considering how vague I've been during our little talk over the phone. Right there and there, I decided to tell him if he ever asks. Maybe not all of it, but stuff he needs to know. It's the least I can do to thank him. As expected, through to his inquisitive nature, he asks,
If you don't mind, though.
Really? Should we really be telling him?
I know you've always been an eager learner, but may I know what in the restricted section that piqued your curiosity?
Hauntings? Ghosts? Random ghosts that fucking kill people?
It's the Ermengarde Mansion, sir.
You mean the Ermengarde Mansion? He's quick to raise an eyebrow at that, and for a while I fear he'll take the slip of paper back. Is there something in what I said?
The ones they have out in the general isn't enough?
I'm, hoping for a more in-depth read, sir. More about the history and the people who once lived there. The general section doesn't have anything much on that.
Oh, I see. Well, you certainly aren't the first one to be enamored with that place. It doesn't shock me. The architecture is admirable, and the urban legends are something to talk about.
Oh yes, they're very much something to talk about.
I think enamored might be a little too much to describe our interest in it. But I have to agree. The mansion is beautiful, even with the renovations. They kept the stained glass windows too. They are magnificent.
Oh, you've seen it.
Oh, we've had our fair share of the fucking mansion.
I was there for a few hours to attend a housewarming party. The invitation was for my parents, but they couldn't make it. My mum used to work as a private tutor for the Evans. Hannah Wright?
Ah, I know of her. Her husband, too. Who doesn't? Luxborn's most popular couple.
Something falls behind his eyes, the warmth in them suddenly gone. Like he's reliving a painful distant memory and seeing it play right in front of him. It disappears almost as soon as it surfaces, but that look has unsettled something in me.
Is something the matter?
Nothing much.
Did you get in a spat with Luke?
But you know, you're already like a daughter to me. So if you could, do be careful with the friends you make.
Is this about the rights, sir?
Just a friendly advice from an old man. Don't think much about it. Anyway, I have to leave now. Can't miss my weekly serving of bear claws. Say hi to your parents at the detective inspector for me, will you? I wish you luck with all that research.
I don't think we'll be saying hi to Ashhole anytime soon.
I will. Thanks for this, Andrew.
Andrew gives my shoulder a light squeeze, the gesture a younger me has always appreciated, and quickly crosses the street after. I watch him until he disappears behind the door of a cafe, until the doubt swimming inside my head finds a moment to rest. Whatever his business is with the rice isn't anything I should concern myself about. But somehow, in the grand scheme of things now, all of it seems oddly relevant. The how, though, I've yet to find out. And I'm hoping the library will give me the answers I want this time. On a gloomy Sunday morning, the library is especially empty. The second floor in particular. I've always considered this place to be a sanctuary, a respite away from the hubbub of the city. As a child, I grew up reading books here, spending hours here to no end poring over the pages, living out fantasies in my head until my parents called me home. Now it feels nothing like it. The silence is smothering, suffocating. Even with how clean they've kept the microfiche room, how the entire small of it lacks a speck of dust or clutter, breathing is a struggle for air. Not far into my stay, I begin to long for the noise outside, and perhaps a way to calm this unease, I start to hum a tune. Imagine that. Why, of all things, it has to be that silly nursery rhyme, I've not an inkling. It does its job, however, it fills the lull with something far less awkward, far less deafening, and that is enough for a distraction. I have business here. No time for silly daydreams, only important work to attend to. Even if there's a possibility of it being fruitless by some means, it feels like I have to do it. If not for me, then for the people who have been affected by this. What do we even call this? A haunting? Yep, definitely, that's the word. A Halloween prank gone wrong? No, because a couple of kids died. A curse? Yep, very precise. If Isabel were here, what would she say? Will she panic? Will she be angry I only listen to her now? It all stems from that one moment inside the movie house, doesn't it? We could have avoided this had we only taken her warnings to heart. One stupid mistake is all it took to send our normal lives on a downward spiral. Frankly, I'm no longer sure if I'm angry at myself for it, or at the universe for throwing us into this mess. But we can only make do of what little we have, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Going here might not be the right decision, but it's a start.
A good start.
A very good start. It doesn't take much time for me to find what I need. A microfiche of old newspapers, long kept in special storage cabinets at the far end of the restricted section. The year is 1620s and beyond. Before the city of Luxborn even existed in records, when the mansion has just been built, and Anselm is nothing more but a small, sleepy hamlet near the river. A lot of pieces are missing, days, sometimes several consecutive weeks without any records remaining. Often it goes on for years. Troublesome, but as it is, I'm lucky enough to find anything at all considering how far I'm looking back. Can't be picky now. Can't waste time mulling over what record keepers of the old could have done to make this a breeze for me.
I can still work with this.
The faint whir of the microfiche machine keeps me company as I go over each slide, each image hoping for something that goes beyond what the local lore knows. There are snippets, little mentions of the family that once settled in the house here and there. The usual singing of praises for the couple who helped brought up what was once a tiny settlement into a buzzing town. Nothing substantial, nothing I don't know before. It continues on like this for a good while, until I come by the years after their deaths. The people of Anselm might have loved Lord William and Lady Elizabeth Ermengarde, mourned their passing and held them in high esteem in the years after. But it was their daughter that was remembered fondly by the townspeople. They had a daughter! If her parents built this town, Lady Charlotte was the one who made it prosper. Remarkable considering it was a period of recovery from a bout of plague that killed half the town's population, including her parents. What's surprising though? What the fuck? Free at last, Eyre puts a stop to local slave trade. Apparently her time was also marked more than superficial changes to the place. She moved things, changed laws, altered old customs and traditions. If they were done on a woman's whimsy, it doesn't say, but she seems capable enough for more than that. The gist of it is, the town she rebuilt is what eventually grew to become Luxborn City, while the nearby Anselm village remained as it is, a relic of old. A frown swiftly forms in my face. Is that Takako?
So, why is there a need to hide this?
One by one, I try to recall every session I've gone through, every book, paper, and journal I've read. None of those ever mention this. It's always the lord and lady of the house, their endearing child, always an afterthought of those anecdotes, the one who always took her life in the end. Never someone who restored a town from the brink of collapse or brought new ideas to it. Is it because she's a woman?
That pisses me off.
That might not be it. Granted, not everything is sunshine and rainbows, not all aspects of her can be considered admirable. But this is history. Some parts are bound to naturally delve into unpleasant territory whether I like it or not. Witch hunts, for example, became common near the end of her life. Oh my god. Which would have been completely unremarkable and might have gone to become a mere footnote in history if it didn't involve Lady Charlotte and the very slaves she saved. It caused quite a stir, enough to leave almost a week's worth of clippings. The girl was eventually burned, condemned by the entire town. At the word of Lord Charlotte alone. But this doesn't have to do anything with the curse, does it? Oh yes it does. Unless that woman following us and the slave are the same person. A tale of revenge? How cliché. However, with a lack of accurate photographs, it's impossible to tell. Maybe if I squint, the illustration would start resembling her. I wouldn't look so close into that picture. But in my field, it doesn't work that way. It shouldn't work that way. I'll be the laughingstock of the community.
This isn't going anywhere.
Mentally exhausted, I take a careful step away from the screen, pressing a palm to my tired eyes. The lack of ample light in the area doesn't help. A headache already threatens to form at the back of my head, yet I'm nowhere near figuring things out. Something is happening. This is simply too much to take in all at once.
I should have asked for someone's help.
Now I'm at a dead end. I start gathering everything around me and placing them back in their respective envelopes for storage. The motion's no longer new after volunteering here a number of times. I didn't make much of a mess anyway, considering the lack of materials to begin with. I'll have to look somewhere else. The where remains unknown though. But just as I'm about to slip the last of the slides in, something catches my attention. My hand pauses, the microfiche halfway through its protective sleeve. This is one of the few I've set aside without taking a careful look at. It seems like a gossip column at first glance, but upon closer look, I slide it back into the reader, gently turning the dials in search of the page. It takes some time, but once the image becomes clear, they must have had this drawing commissioned for this announcement. I don't doubt it. The details are far more intricate, their likeliness likely closer to how they might have appeared at that time. They're both recognizable this way, closer to the paintings I've seen in the mansion. However, it's the man standing beside her, Edward Godfrey. According to the article, that caught my attention previously. Her first cousin and eventually her fiancé. Oh, the incest train has gone full circle? Maybe it's the posture, the manner in which he holds himself. Or maybe it's the shape of his eyes, though I can't be too certain about that until I've gotten a better reference. Nevertheless, there is a resemblance. He looks eerily like Luke? My head snaps up, glowering at whoever's running in the floor above. Any day I'd march upstairs and reprimand whoever it is.
This is a library, for heaven's sake.
That might not be who we think it is. But now isn't the time. I've gotten what I need. Without wasting another minute, I hit the machine's print button for a copy of the page, while my other hand moves to put everything back into storage. A ragged exhale slips from me. Relief, perhaps, or maybe this is already exhaustion. Regardless, soon I'm closing my eyes as I wait for the printer to finish, if only to stave off the headache building from everything. Sometime I've even began humming the same song again, for comfort. Despite my doubts about this, despite all the tension in my shoulders, this may be a small find, but at least I can start somewhere. We can start somewhere. There's a way out of this. I know it. The printer sputters to a halt. However, its sound isn't what makes me snap my eyes wide open. Fuck! Fuck! A feeling, a chilly brush of air behind my back. Brief enough for something sickening to suddenly lodge itself inside my throat while I take in my surroundings. It's that suffocating sensation again. Creeping to every part of me, crawling under my skin, draining me little by little of any strength. From that day in the mansion, from that brief moment at school, without delay I grab the papers and make a quick beeline for the door. Hi there, bitch! My whole body freezes.
What are you doing, Miss Pink?
Oh, nothing! Nothing, Takako! I hold my breath, not daring to make any noise. For a little while, only the sound of papers crumpling under my grasp fills the room, the excitement from earlier gone instantly, replaced by a cold, seeping dread spreading throughout my limbs. But more than the fear is the anger. It pains me to hear her using my own student's voice against me, and more than once I believed it really was her. She has no right.
Why don't you play with me?
Not today, Takako. Although she hasn't made a move, if there isn't a wall behind me, I'll probably take a step back. Anything to put a distance between us, no matter how small, as long as I'm out of her reach. But I steel myself. Because if I do fall back, turn away from her, I'll be left with no way out. I am not dying here.
You think you scam me?
Come on, Rebecca, I believe.
Miss Pink, don't be so rude. I'm waiting.
I'm not afraid of you, you spook.
Rebecca, I think it's time to run.
This is one Scotswoman. You aren't getting into an early grave without a fight.
Rebecca!
Come at me.
Fuck! I expected she'll lunge, prove to me what a monster she is. Instead, all she gives me is a smile, twisted and gnarled. It's as if time has crawled to a stop at the sight of it. A split-second decision, and before I know it, my body shifts. Eyes closing in anticipation, hands grabbing whatever's solid enough on the nearby table and hurling it at her. I don't bother looking if whatever I threw hits the mark. I run, as fast as my legs can carry me, despite my heart threatening to burst out my chest. But in this maze of bookshelves with a place almost void of people, is there even a safe enough place I can escape to? Oh, fuck this, we're heading straight for the door. If there is one, it is out of this room, out of this place, as far away as anyone can get from her. I can think about the rest of what I can do after I'm outside, where there are people I can ask for help. When she's not chasing after me like this. There's no hesitation in my steps as I race for the restricted section's door, head downstairs and barrel straight for the library's exit. Towards safety, in a desperate bid for my life. Library rules be damned. I can no longer hear her behind me, but I'm not taking any chances. A breath almost escapes me as I near the door. A little more. When out of nowhere, a library cart careens from a blind corner and slams to my sides. No! My back hits the floor with a hard thud, the impact completely knocking the breath out of me. The copper tang of blood gradually spreads over my tongue as I fight to get my bearings back. I force myself to move even with excruciating pain coursing through my limbs. The exit's almost there, if only I can. But there's no moment's respite. The next thing I know, there's heavy weight atop me and cold digits slide around my neck, tight like a vice, pressing, closing in, leaving me gasping for air. Through my blurred vision, I can only make out that hateful gleam, the spite in her eyes as she looms over my body and her grip on my throat grows tighter. Desperation kicks in. My nails dig into her wrist as I struggle against her firm grip, trying to pry her fingers away.
Go.
Let go, you fucking bitch! Isn't there supposed to be a QTE where we can save ourselves?
Let me go.
Where's the fucking QTE? Oh, fuck this shit! Yeah, no, after failing this QTE a few times, it's not really that intuitive. I'm fucking skipping. I don't think twice. My limbs are moving on their own before what I did could fully register in my brain and my lungs could recover. Behind me, she lets out a cry, sharp, loud, and thunderous against the empty walls of the library. But the fear her wails bring compares to nothing to the relief washing over me when I finally make it out. Fuck, we made it! My knees buckle as soon as my feet hits the pavement, its surface cold and hard against my skin. I've only been in there for a few hours, about 1 or 2 probably. I don't know anymore, it feels like an eternity all the same. My breathing hasn't slowed down yet and I don't expect it to after going through that. I probably look like the most undignified creature on a Sunday morning right now, out of breath, disheveled, slumped here with a bloodied lip and all. But at present I simply can't bring myself to care, even when a few passers-by start giving me strange looks. Stare at me all you want, I don't give a single shite. I'm alive. I'm safe. This isn't the end yet, but I'm safe. And inside my bag is something that could get us out of this mess. Nothing definite yet, I don't want to get my hopes up, but it's still something. If Isabella's here, I'm sure she'll feel the same. She'll even be the first one who'll put her faith on it. Wherever this'll lead us is a victory on its own. Now all that's left is to find the others, the rest of us trapped in this bloody nightmare. Right on cue, as if an answer to my previous thought, my mobile phone lets out a beep. I pick it up simply hoping it'll be one of them. Only it's a voicemail that greets me. From Ashton. There's a pang of disappointment, of course, but it brings some reassurance that nothing's happened to at least one of them.
Hey, Becca, call me back when you're free. We need to talk. ASAP.
Yep, Ash, we definitely need to talk. He ends it right there. The message less than a minute long, curt, and gives nothing away. I let it ease my worries regardless and do as he asks. Because this too is another triumph for us. One less thing to worry about. Holy shit! Five chapters in and no one has died. Are we gonna make it through the game with no deaths? Well, we're playing Ashton's chapter now, and you all know how much I want to kill Ashton. So stay tuned, everyone, for the bloody continuation of the letter as we try to kill Ashton every step of the way. Once again, my name is Nez, and thanks for watching. See you all next time, everyone. Bye!